the NPP is in a frenzy, very busy to elect a candidate to lead the party, and there's a lot of connotations within that process. So who is going to be party chairman depends on who wins the presidential elections in January. Who is going to be general secretary depends on who wins the presidential elections in January. Who and whom are going to form the national executive of the NPP depends on who wins the elections in January. Who is going to be regional chairman depends on who wins the elections in January. So almost everything in NPP depends on who wins the elections in January. I spoke to one of the important candidates here, and he told me, I asked him that what's happening in Akwatia, and he said, I don't know. Nobody is telling me anything. Nobody has said we should come. Nobody. That's what he was telling me. And so I reckon from that time, I spoke to a few journalists, and they don't want me to mention their name, but I can. I always have this conversation with journalists. I called, I said, what are you picking up? What are we getting here? And it was beginning to look like when Kennedy Japan decides to go to Akwatia, Bawumia people don't really want to be seen with him campaigning. When Dr. Bawumia goes to Akwatia, Kennedy Japan people don't really want to be seen with him campaigning. It's not anybody's fault. That's the nature of politics. The election has come at a time when they are in the frenzy for their primaries. They had just submitted their forms last week, and now they are going into the event. You're a presidential candidate, you go there, you are spending money on what basis? Are you spending money that the delegates of Akwatia should vote for you in January? Are the delegates outside Akwatia more important than the delegates in Akwatia, given that the addition of the seat to the NPP might not do much? You know, and I'll give you another reason why the NDC needed to win this. I'll tell you. That's coming. So that's really happened. And as I was watching the campaign, and I had people in Akwatia, when was it, Friday? And I asked them to check. I was watching the campaign. It was beginning to look like that. Kwabene Japan, for instance, didn't find his way there at all because he's going to make a calculation. So I go to Akwatia, a seat that doesn't add, doesn't subtract. And I go and spend money with delegates. And then they vote for the NPP candidate. Will they necessarily vote for me at the presidential primaries in 31 January? They might not. So he looks at it and says, Charlie, look, it's Akwatia matter. Let it slip. Now, the leadership of the party, who are now in the leadership, that is Henry Adom-Otchere, very hardworking. Justin Kodria, very hardworking. Chairman Bute is representing the chairman. In fact, the chairman is not opposed. He's not feeling too well. So there are people who are challenging Justin Kodria. They want to become the general secretary instead of Justin Kodria sometime after January next year. They are not going to marshal their support and join a campaign that Justin Kodria, in his capacity as the incumbent general secretary, is running, so that the seat is won. Kodria looks good, and then he probably picks up an edge as a result of Akwatia over the other person who wants to be general secretary. So all of these underlying factors were big in the NPP campaign. It was so the NPP could not gather themselves together to take advantage of the division in the NDC. And then you saw the NDC with the government machinery effectively used. Julius Debra, the chief of staff, went there on his own with the Eastern Region appointees. Johnson Asiedu Katia and the rest went in. Now, they went in to fight, and they had the resources. The national security, Richard Jakpa and co. were all seen in Akwatia. So this is the explanation from our perspective, and you can disagree with it. That's very fair. From our perspective, that's what it looks like, but you can think about it and see. So Brian Achampong goes to Akwatia, and he's in two minds. Should I go and spend 100,000 cedis in Akwatia? How will that 100,000 cedis inure to my benefit in January? Is it money thrown away? Maybe yes, maybe no. If we win Akwatia and the guy comes to parliament and we are 88, so what has happened? So this was a problem. And so I believe that this came at a bad time for the NPP, and no leadership at the top. The national leadership is on one leg because some of them are running again, some are not running again. This looks like it's their cup of tea. I'm running against them. I don't want to participate in this. I don't have to fit into this. All of those analyses are very, very important. So you saw that presidential candidate Kwabene Japan did not even go there. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia did quite a bit of work there. He went there more than once. But if Dr. Bawumia is going, and he's not going as a leader of the NPP, and he's going as one of the candidates for January, will I join him if I'm in Kennedy Japan's camp? Will I say, Bawumia is coming? No. So Bawumia goes with his people in Bawumia camp. Kennedy Japan goes with people in Kennedy Japan camp and try and rack up some support in some parts where he's confident that the delegates and the polling station executives are going to vote for him. So it was really a big crisis period, and that is why the NPP were hoping that the NDC does not contest, because this was going very difficult. At a time when it's coming, it's very, 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 very difficult for them. And that's what happened, and that's what reflected in the results, except that we still don't understand how the exit poll showed such a big lead for the NPP, and eventually by the time the results were counted, the NPP had lost the election. So what shall I say to these men? Okay, congratulations for all of you. Dr. Osei Aweduchum also went in there. He went to Akwatia to do his bit. But again, if Osei Aweduchum is going, Brian Achampong's people are not going to go with him. If Brian Achampong's people are going, they're going with him. This one is going, this one is not going to go with him. But after January, they have one leader, and there's a timetable for national officers. National officers are elected, and they have formed one unit together. It is only then that we can test the formidability of the NPP, whether they've risen up from the doldrums of the 41% or whether they are going even further down. There's more time to look at that.